Welcome to the Sandlot, folks. Hello, Colby. Hello, folks. Welcome in. RM Simon's ready to learn about some hitting. The Cheese. Welcome, everybody. Check in with a nickname if you could. I'd love to know what your nickname is. That means it is time to rock and roll. Hello, Judge Jr. Ready to go? Love it. Coach Grant in the house. Attaboy. I see a CM Henry. I'm thinking that might be a relation to Rob Henry, quite possibly. There's Rob right there. We're going to get Rob in.
Cool. Hey, Coach.
Attaboy. How we doing?
How's it going, Coach? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We got the Brown Bears. We got the Brown Bears shirt right there in the back, and you've got a strong.
Yeah, I figured that'd be a good background for today.
I'm loving it. You got a good mustache going too. Mustache salute to you.
Yeah. Just switching things up a little bit. I know there's a lot of guys going through the whole delay of baseball. I know Christian Yelich was on speaking about his mustache, so I guess he's a good person to follow. So I kind of switch things up, you know?
Absolutely. Brown U Baseball's in the house. Come on in. Welcome. We're going to talk hitting today. So, Rob, I appreciate you joining us today. What I always tell my kiddos is get your notebooks out. So if you're a young ball player and you want to learn about the game, this is the time to pull out that notebook. If you have a setup, I know I got a couple kids, Nolan Ryan Jr., water slide, sleepover. They usually have some type of tee set up, a little bit like this. Maybe they've got a net that they can hit into as well. But I just want to start by letting everybody know who you are and what you're up to. So I went to Brown University. I played baseball. So did you. Go Brown Bears. Talk to me about what happened at Brown and what have you been doing since graduation?
So I'm local to Rhode Island. So going to Brown was kind of a big deal for me. You know, Brown was always that school in Providence that you never really knew anyone that went there. Because it's such a great institution. And so just going there on its own, I was very, very lucky. I know a lot of my teammates, I don't know if you had anyone on your team that was from Rhode Island, but a lot of my teammates really enjoyed picking on me, being the local guy. So I had a lot of fun at Brown. It was a very special place. It was really easy to play baseball there just because it's close to home. I feel like I just fit in right away, and things went really well. I'm sure I probably had a very similar experience to you. Just a lot of fun, good academics, good culture, and then from there, had a few good seasons. Got a chance to play at the professional level, so I've been doing that for 3.5 years now. Playing with the Brewers, wearing the logo here. It was another similar opportunity to go get into Brown. You know, like I feel like at this point, like I'm just continuing to be playing with house money. You know, all these opportunities are just tremendous, and things are going really well. So just hoping this pandemic passes and we get back on the field and continue the career, you know?
That's right. So you've been in the minor leagues for 3.5 years now. For my guys that are in high school, in middle school, what have you been doing to stay in the groove? Give them some ideas of what they can do at home. How are you staying in shape, man?
Yeah, I definitely don't need to be as creative as some others that are kind of just stuck at home. Fortunately, I have a pretty good setup here. I have a facility nearby that I have access to. So I've been going there every day just to hit, and I get some lifting in there, and pretty much everything that I was doing in the off season before all this happened. But yeah, no, I've had that question a lot with a lot of the kids that I instruct and I coach. I know some have to be more creative than others. Even some of my teammates, I hear that they're hitting off the tee into a net in their living room. One of my teammates from Venezuela, I saw a video of him literally hitting off a tee with no shoes on in his living room. And it's kind of cool, seeing guys do different creative things. I think the most important thing is that you're doing something, even if it's just I think one of the best things was the other day when I got home after some of my training, the Red Sox Angels 2003 ALDS was on TV. Just watching something like that, watching the best do it, keeping my mind fresh, keeping the love for the game, just stuff like that. Regardless, even if you're not able to develop your skills, at least invest some of your time just at least thinking about the game and staying in touch with it.
Absolutely. So kids, fans, moms, dads, whoever's out there, throw some questions at us. We will definitely get to them and we will answer them. We want to specifically talk about hitting. You brought up a fellow Brewer, Christian Yelich. Have you gotten a chance to see him hit live? Have you met him yet?
I met him once. It was really cool. My last spring training, I got invited to go to my first big league spring training game, and we were playing at the Angels, and Mike Trout wasn't playing, so that was a bummer. So I didn't get to see him play, but luckily enough, I got to see the other best player, and it was Yelich. He was DHing that day, so he was kind of when you're a minor leaguer and you go over to the big league side to play in a game, you're there as a reserve. You're there in case the guy like Yelich, he comes out in the fifth inning, you jump in for him, give him a break. So I'm sitting there on the bench, hanging out during the game, just trying to take it all in. And he's DHing, so he's on the bench with us. So sitting there, he's talking to a few of the guys, not really dialing on me, but it was really cool. Yeah, actually, really, really cool. The number one thing I remember is he was talking to us before the game. He's like, all right, well, I got to go hit, guys. And he went in the on-deck circle. First pitch of the at-bat, he put it off the batter's line, center field. So really cool. He had a home run. He comes back to the dugout just like nonchalant. Really humble guy. And he's just like, yeah, man, if you're not ready to hit the first good pitch you see, you're setting yourself up for failure. So that was a really good piece of advice, especially from a big leaguer who he's seeing some nasty stuff, much nastier than we're seeing in the minor leagues. And he's like, yeah, dude, if you get a good pitch to hit, that first pitch, you better be ready to swing. So that's my one experience seeing it. Actually pretty cool. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad Sorry, I was just getting a phone call. But yeah, no, I'm glad I was able to answer that question because it would have been a bummer if I was like, no, I actually haven't seen Yelich hit. But
That's
I've been
great.
lucky enough that I have.
Well, and the fact that you were able to pick, you only met him once, but you picked up that tip. Be aggressive early in the count. You're not up there saying no, no, no. You got to go up there saying yes, yes, yes. And I talked to a lot of kids about that. There's that difference between the practice version of the player and the game version of the player. And I'll notice this a lot where the practice version looks like they're on the offense and they're attacking the baseball and they're confident. But then sometimes in the game, we're looking for a walk or we're just not sure. But like you said, Christian Yelich, first pitch, bang, go get it. So kids, write that in your notebooks. Christian Yelich says, see something early in the count and go to town on it. Really cool. Jake N25 had the first good question. Any good tee drills that you're doing around the house? I've got a tee right here. What can I be doing right now if I'm in the house or maybe in my backyard with a screen? What have you been doing off the tee, Rob?
Yeah, so when I hit off the tee, I just trying to keep it loose, nice and easy. I know one of the biggest things I definitely see in kids, young ages all the way to at my level is trying to do too much off the tee, expecting to absolutely destroy balls off the tee. And when you're off the tee, you should just be honing in on your technique, honing in on your mechanics, just trying to feel good, not really trying to swing too hard. So when I step in off the tee, there's not really one particular drill I'll do on any day. One that I do really like that I've shared with others is I'll put a bat in between my feet. I've seen a lot of big leaguers doing this one. Right in between the insteps of my feet, I'll throw a bat right in there, squeeze it together for my feet. Yeah, so the other way around. Yeah, kind of like as a distance marker, exactly. So I'll squeeze that in between my feet, and I'll take some swings there, burying my eyes on the tee, focus on keeping my eyes down, staying through the baseball. I've caught on with that. I've seen JD Martinez doing that drill, and I started doing it myself, and it's helped a lot. I think it's great for younger kids to learn how to keep their balance and not overswing, not overstride. I think that's foundational, and it goes a long way.
I like that a lot. Let's get into that a little bit. And I have the same issues when I'm coaching kids. They see Mike Trout or they see Christian Yelich, and they've got this little step going on, and so they want to be Mike Trout. They want to take that step as well. But not only being a player, you're also a good coach. Why can that 8-year-old not take that step that a 27-year-old Mike Trout can?
Yeah, I would even say I've tried the Mike Trout step too. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You got to have the coordination, the athleticism. Sometimes just like you got to have the swagger, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. There's different moves. There's different things you see on TV. Everyone's got their own. I have my own. Every teammate I've played has their own. I played with Kevin here in the minor leagues, and he has one of the most unique. He has a toe tap and a leg kick in his swing, and I always ask him, I was like, dude, how do you do that? Like, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. He's like, I've been doing it my whole life. I don't know. I just, I did it one day and it started working. So I definitely recommend to the kids out there that find what works for them and not necessarily try to copy one move by a big leaguer or copy one move that they see their friend doing. That's right. Because regardless, it's up to what your body's able to do. So as long as you're ready to hit the ball, in my book, that'll work.
That's great. If you're just tuning in, Coach Ballgame Sandlot, we do it every afternoon, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern. We've got Brown University fellow grad Rob Henry with us, and he's a Milwaukee Brewer. Let's talk a little bit about, once we've got a good foundational setup here, once we know we've got good balance, and we're going to keep that front foot quiet as a young hitter. We're not going to get loud and get here. I'm a big fan of the head staying very, very still. Sometimes I'll put this ball right under my chin just to make sure that I'm not loading too far back, I'm not exploding too far ahead, that my head stays here. You face some great pitchers throwing 85, 90, 95 miles an hour. Why do you have to keep your head still to be able to hit that baseball?
Yeah, that's something I definitely talk about a lot with kids. Is, the most important thing about keeping your head still is what is in your head that you need so much to hit, and it's your eyes. And if your head is moving, your eyes are moving. If your eyes are moving, you might as well be running at the baseball trying to hit it. So I think definitely keeping your head still. Let's get another phone call.
You're a popular dude, man.
Your head is moving.
I was saying you're a popular dude.
It's my A-ball manager. He's trying to call me. He's probably not smart enough to know that. He probably sees me on Instagram Live. He's trying to call me to tell me that he sees me on Instagram Live. But if your head's moving, your eyes are moving. If your eyes are moving, it's gonna be hard to see the baseball to hit. So I know I had a big problem when I was in college, when I was younger. Overstriding at the ball. It made 85 seem like 90, and it made 90 seem like 95. And even at the level I'm at right now, it makes 95 seem like 100. If your eyes are moving, you're making things more difficult, and you don't really need all that movement to hit the ball. Yeah. That's another thing. Is like a lot of kids that I work with, and me especially, when I get caught up in that a lot of head moving forward, it's because I'm trying to do too much. I'm trying to add all my momentum into the swing forward, and that forces my head to move. and you don't need to do all that. Especially pitchers these days at my level, they're throwing hard. You just got to tap it and it'll go.
Absolutely. Matt Antonelli in the house. Shout out. He joined us earlier in the week. Really great coach. Go watch his videos for sure. Something I want to talk to you about is what is too much of a load? We know we've got to get some power into our back leg to get it into the front leg, but we don't want this head moving too much. So do you have some sort of key? How do you go about getting power into this backside so you can explode, but not making your head move too much?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's definitely something I'm constantly trying to figure out every day is how to optimize my load and how to keep it as smooth as possible without too much moving back to forward. Because if you move back, you're going to have to eventually move back forward to get to center. My hitting coordinator from when I first got into rookie ball, he really talked about like the A-frame of a house and your head being the top of the house and maintaining that A-frame. Any movement backwards, you're becoming a crooked house. Any movement too much forward, you're becoming a crooked house. So really just focusing on maintaining your center, keeping that head right there. You really don't need to move much from there. I think one of the best examples is Mike Trout or even Miguel Cabrera. Like they make moves without moving their head. They don't rock that. They maintain that center. I guess you could say it kind of requires some sort of core strength and some sort of like posterior chain strength, like using your hamstrings or your heel. I kind of focus in on some of those things each day, but like I said, every day it's something different, and you got to find it.
Absolutely.
It's never the same thing. It's never like yesterday. Maybe it worked for me to think about like staying in my heel, but today that might have not worked, and I got to think more about staying in my back pocket of my butt or in my hamstring. It's always different.
I love that. Really good notes. When I got to Brown University and we started working out, we'd spend 30 minutes doing stomach exercises, abs, core, and I'm like, why are we doing this? I hit the ball with my arms. And then I found out, no, you don't hit the ball with your arms. And just on what we were talking about, Miguel Cabrera, Mike Trout, they're not going back and forth swaying like this. They're using their core, they're using their stomach muscles to a little coil, a little uncoil, but the head, like you said, stays in that.
Exactly.
For you, I know we've got to get, as you said, optimize that load. We've got to coil a little bit, but how do we know when we've gone far enough? For me, it's my right eye as a right-handed hitter. I know it looks backwards, but I wanted to make sure my right eye could still see the ball. As far as using these abs right here to load up, and also maybe with the hands, a lot of young hitters, they take these hands and they go too far back. How do you teach a young hitter how to get to the right spot here?
Absolutely. No, that's something that is definitely, I would say, also foundational. That's something I struggled with a lot in college. I know my college hitting coach, he'll say the same thing is we were always searching for what to do with the hands or what to do with the shoulders. Like it was we were searching for it so much that it was just counterproductive. I might as well have thought nothing rather than thinking everything. As of right now, I've kind of progressed in the last 3 years away from that. I love to just keep my hands still. I see like my two favorite hitters to watch I was just talking about Yelich. I watch Yelich a lot, and I watch Alex Bregman a lot. And their hands don't do much. They don't move too far away from their head. So if they can do it, it was my goal to find out a way for me to do it. I know when I first got in pro ball, I had a lot of bat tipping, a lot of hand movement, and I was just never ready to hit a fastball. 95 was coming. I knew it was coming, and I still couldn't pull the trigger. I was like, what's going on here? That's a little weird. So I really honed in the offseason on how to swing without too much load in my hands. Really focus on getting in a good position with my body, and then just kind of swinging the bat from there.
Yep.
So for younger kids, I would recommend, I wouldn't go any further than having your knob pointed at the catcher. That's kind of what I tell. That's the foundational thing. Get the knob pointed at the catcher. If the knob's pointed at the catcher, you have proper angles to swing the bat, to torque the handle, to really whip that thing. I would recommend that. That helps me a lot. But you also, at the same time, you see guys in the big leagues with vertical bats. You see guys in the big leagues with flat bats. I know everyone I play the Houston Astros organization a lot. Everyone in the organization has a flat bat. It's like this. So I don't know. That's another thing that it's different for everyone. I would just recommend getting in a solid position, not too far away from your head, where you can really use your wrist and you can use your fingers, use your hands, and not like be armsy. If that makes sense.
It does. Makes a lot of sense. I look at a guy like Mike Trout, and his barrel stays so close to his head at all times. I'm like, man, if I would have, not that I wish to quarantine on myself when I was younger, but if I had all this time to watch all this video and ask all these questions from these great coaches, I wouldn't have got as handsy, because I definitely got out here and then my barrel drags behind me. So
absolutely.
Right here, flashlight at the catcher, barrel staying close to the head. And now as far as path goes, as far as from this spot, we're not doing too much. We're optimizing this area right here before the pitcher releases. Here comes that fastball. From here, we know we've got to take a quick swing forward. But do you have any tips, any keys for these kids to swing quickly forward? How did you learn how to do it? How would you teach it?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think the number one thing I see wrong with hitter's path isn't necessarily the shape of it, but more so the concept of it, of swinging at the baseball. I would definitely recommend not doing that. I would recommend taking more of an approach towards, if you're right-handed. So whenever I see a baseball, I just think swing through right center field. That's kind of my way of staying inside of it. I think that's just the general direction that you want to stay in. That it never really clicked with me in college when my college coach was like, "Hey, like work on hitting the ball to right center," and then like it helped. I didn't know why. It was just, but it just keeps your batting inside the baseball at the end of the day. But I don't know. That's a tough question. The path is interesting. I think people are still trying to figure it out. I think if you just get in a really good position, and you take a nice solid swing. My biggest thing is gravity works from up to down. So if I can get a little bit of help from gravity with some sort of downward plane, that's what I want. I think that's going to give me some sort of bat acceleration that I need. Not trying to get flat, not trying to get up. I think flat is maybe even worse than up, because you have a round bat and a round ball. If you're trying to hit it flat, there's really not many good results. It's going to be either straight up or in the ground or around or flare. I think more so of working down to the ball, and then hopefully if you catch it at a good contact point out in front, it'll get to the upper part of the swing. We talk about that a lot in pro ball, actually, is we call it, we do a drill called the ladder drill. So you'll hit low line drives to right field, you'll hit a little bit higher line drives, you'll climb the ladder, a little bit higher line drives to center field, and then fly balls to left field. And that's working the contact point of just taking a nice clean path A to B to the ball, being direct. We talk about a lot being direct. And the contact point will dictate the shape of the result.
That's great. It's good. Yeah, I was a big fan of right center as well. We call it the approach, but for me, that kept me inside the ball. Some hitters talk about trying to hit the inside of the baseball, the inside half of the baseball to stay inside. But then you want to be long through it, so trying to hit it towards right center, that gets your barrel in the zone quick and out of the zone late, which you want to have. Something I do with my kids is I'll get them up against a fence. So the fence is right here, and they can't drag, they can't lag, they can't go back here. I call it Burgerland. But that's a place that I lived when I was young, but I was athletic enough to hit the slow pitching pretty good. But when I started facing fast pitching, I had been swinging so long in my life that it was hard for me to change and go forward quickly. But I really had to revamp it at Brown. That's when I really had to learn how to swing correctly. So kids, put something back here. Maybe it's a couple of buckets that you're not knocking over. You're swinging in front of and getting out in front. But
I love that drill. That sounds like a great drill. I think another one I do with a lot of kids is not only the net behind or like towards the catcher, but I would put the net behind you this way as well on your back, and that'll keep you from like turning away from the baseball, and it'll help you really stay through the baseball. I do that one personally a lot. I have a lot of the kids I work with do it. I know I have a 14-year-old that I work with him 3 times a week. He takes 50 swings before we do anything else with that screen behind him.
That's
cool. It's really helped him improve his path to and through the baseball.
That's great because you don't want to be going back here, but you also don't want to be pulling off the ball like this.
Exactly.
So I saw a great drill. Coach Matt Antonelli was talking about this one. He'll put a hitter up against a wall, so the bill of his hat will be right here. And then he'll cross his arms, and you want to just go through the load and the explode while the bill of your hat stays right there on the wall, just so your head covers it. You also want your chest. Talk a little bit about the chest at impact and through the baseball. Talk about covering. Talk about that.
No, I think there's the shoulders and the hips, especially. There's a lot of teaching about what to do with them, how to rotate them. I don't like to think about that stuff because I feel as though when I rotate shoulders and I rotate hips, the bat doesn't move as fast as I can move it with my hands. Just because my hands are connected to the bat, why would I want to try to accelerate it with anything else? So I really just try and think about accelerating the bat with my hands, I guess, in my wrists. And if my shoulder's open, I think the shoulder's opening is relative to where the pitch is located. If your shoulders are opening on an outside pitch, that's probably not a good thing. But if your shoulders aren't opening on an inside pitch, that's also probably not a good thing.
Sure.
So I think it's all relative to that. I know I have a hard time hitting inside pitches because of I keep my shoulders closed for almost too long, and then I start overcompensating. I'm like, all right, well, I got to open my shoulders, and then I'll be whipping my shoulders around, and I can't find the happy medium. So it's definitely not easy.
No.
But I try to keep the chest out of it as much as possible, and kind of just swing the bat rather than swinging my body around.
And there's a perfect point right there. So it's different for every single person. Some kids, they need you to talk about the chest because if you're talking about don't pull your front shoulder, that doesn't work for them. So it depends on who you're working with. I got a good one for you because I struggled with the inside pitch as well. So for me, I would go high inside tee drill. So I would basically set up the tee like it's going to hit me in the ribs. And then I would just work on hitting this ball to the shortstop. And I would take 20, 25 balls. Boom, teach my muscle memory to open up the correct amount, but still stay through the ball and try and hit it towards left center field gap. I can do that with one hand, right? I can go bottom hand. I can go top hand as well. All just working on that, over-exaggerating that pitch. You're not going to swing at this pitch in the game, but if you are confident you can hit this pitch in practice, then you're going to be able to hit that inside corner pitch in the game. Same with the outside. The two ones that I struggle with, high and in, and then low and away, same thing, over-exaggerate. I set this thing up off of my back foot, and I just bang balls down the first base line or even in the first base dugout because I was a pull guy. Sometimes I like to get here. I had to really teach myself to stay closed and just go with it. Great talk.
Love seeing you do that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
He was a big, put that tee deep and outside and hit it. I remember we had a weekend we played at George Mason and we were just getting dominated on the outer part of the plate. And we showed up, we were in the OMAC on Monday morning, right? Or Monday afternoon, we're hitting in the OMAC. He's making every hitter. He put the tee like 2 balls off the plate and as deep as possible. He's like, hit this. We need to learn how to hit this. So we spent the whole week working on that drill. I think it was good things. You folks, if you can hit that outside pitch. I know when I was in high school, I never looked for anything out there. That was one of the biggest things that changed in college was when I got to college and they started throwing that. I mean, the Ivy League, they're throwing all that stuff right on the outside corner, maybe even a little bit off because the umpire's going to give it to them. If you weren't able to hit it, you were going to have a long day. You were going to have a long doubleheader. And the difference between my freshman and sophomore year was I really honed in on hitting that outside pitch. That first outside fastball that I saw from those Ivy League pitchers, it had to have been put it like a line drive in play. And if it weren't, I wasn't going to have success in that at bat. I didn't really focus a lot on the inside pitch. Definitely, I wish I had, because it's catching up to me now that the pitchers have to throw it over the white and not on the white lines of the batter's box. But I think that outside pitch, I mean, you can't go wrong at a young age practicing how to hit that.
Absolutely. I tell all the kids, I mean, where's 80% of the pitches that you see when you're 11, 12, 13? It's outside corner. Kids are not coming in until maybe high school. Got a good question here, Daniel Jones. Thoughts on teaching kids launch angle philosophy? Let's start with, I mean, what are you learning with the Brew Crew? You've been playing for 3 years with the Brewers. We didn't talk much about it in college, but are you talking about that kind of stuff now with the Brewers? And when should a kid start learning about that stuff?
That's a really good question. I think that's actually a debate in pro ball, because you have people of all ages. I talk to my A-ball manager about this all the time, because he's starting to learn about the analytics and the advanced metrics of the game, which is something I have a strong passion for. I love it. I think there's definitely a fine line between using it for player development and using it for scouting. I think we have a really cool scouting system with the Brewers that takes all that stuff into account to evaluate how valuable a hitter actually is. So you could be hitting have a 200 average, right? But if your metrics show well based off how you're striking the ball, the quality of your hits, or even the quality of your outs, they take that stuff all into account. So you could be hitting 200, but the Brewers really see you as a 300 hitter. Yeah. So it's really cool how they're using that for scouting and evaluating players. I don't necessarily think it's as a powerful tool as in development, though. I only say that because I got to the point that I'm at right now without thinking anything of it. We didn't necessarily think about any of that stuff in college, or even really in pro ball. I mean, we use the hit tracks and stuff like that, but they just want you to strike the ball clean and hit it in the middle of the field in the air. So if that's launch angle, then that's launch angle. But I think it's really a silly argument, a silly debate. I think it just stems from a lack of understanding of what that actually means and how it's used as a scouting tool rather than a player development tool. You'll see Yelich is on a video talking about it with A-Rod. If the best player in the world is saying something like that, how could you neglect it? It's just you don't need it. It could prove very valuable to someone that I can tell you right now that I didn't need to go to office hours in college. I mean, when you were in college, when you went to classes, did you go to office hours? No. And meet with the TAs? Because I didn't need it. I didn't need it, so I still had success. But someone else, other people on my team needed it. I think it's another thing that just hey, if it works, it works. There's guys in the big leagues. I know guys like Hunter Pence and Marlon Byrd and Justin Turner. They're not necessarily changing to a launch angle swing, but they're making drastic changes in their swings for the better. I think it's valuable to take information from all over.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you want to neglect it, but at the same time, keeping it simple for a young hitter is always the best way to go. And simple words and simple thoughts like quiet front foot, still head, short to the ball, long through the ball. That's enough. That's enough for an 18-year-old. That's enough for a 37-year-old brain like myself to think about. And like you said, pro hitting coaches, they like to teach that stuff. So get to that spot by keeping it simple, and then they'll teach you that launch angle if that's a big part of the organization.
Absolutely.
Something I wanted to hit on, and please throw some more questions at us, kiddos. I want him to answer anything you have, or I'll throw some answers out as well. But the mental side of the game is a serious one, and there's so many life lessons that you can gain. We're in a downtime right now. We're in the quarantine. We can't play competitive sports. Same with you. You had a big year coming up. You were ready to play baseball. And this is kind of a swing year for you where you could really shoot up to AAA and maybe make it to the show. But mentally, it parallels the game of baseball, right? There's so much failure in the game of baseball. How do you tackle an 0 for 9. How do you combat not getting that call up to AAA? Teach.
That's a great question. That's it's funny you asked. It's something I think about all the time. It's something I was playing Fortnite with one of my old Brown teammates last night, and he was asking me about it, and I was trying to explain to him, like the mental grind of things, how it can really catch up to you if you don't handle it the right way. And it's funny you say the 0 for 9. I had a streak of, I had 10 straight at bats this year where I struck out. It doesn't get much worse than that. After the 7th one, I got ejected.
Well, it doesn't get any worse than that until that happens.
So I thought after the 7th one that it was over with. My girlfriend was in town. She was at the game. It was a Sunday. I got ejected from the umpire. I was like, all right, that's 7 in a row. It's over with, done with. Next game, go back out there, punch out 3 more times. So it's definitely important, how you deal with it. I think in college, I definitely did a much better job of it. I think it was because I was more comfortable with my playing style, more comfortable with how I matched up against other players. In pro ball, it's been something that I think I could improve on. It's something that I plan on really working on this year. I think it's crazy. We play 140 straight games. I definitely am still trying to get used to it. I think at this point I was prepared for this season to know, like, hey, don't ride the ups and downs, just stay even keel. But it's so true. And I talk about this a lot. That people ask me, like, what's the difference between college and pro ball? The number one difference for me was in the Ivy League, we played 2 doubleheaders, Saturday and Sunday. I just had to prepare for 2 days out of a week, and I had 5 days to do it. It was like a football schedule, honestly.
Yep.
Football team, they prepare for 5 days to play on Sunday, and then that's it. I was really good at preparing during the week and then playing on the weekend. I would flip the switch on the weekend, just play. Whereas in pro ball, you don't get that 5 days to prepare, so every day is the way of preparing. And at the same time, you can't over prepare because then you're getting in your head. So you got to find the balance of things there. Because at the end of the day, at 7 o'clock, the lights are going to turn on, and you got to play a game. You got to get out of your head, and you got to get out of overthinking. I know my A-ball manager. I mean, he talks to me about this a lot. It's just like overthinking.
Yep.
Trying to solve issues in your head. Like, just go out there and play.
But it's tough to do.
Side of baseball, though.
It's tough to do, especially when you're struggling. It's tough to say, well, let me just. It's like that would be lazy. I need to think about things. I need to figure out what's going wrong with my swing. But that's where I talk about the difference between practice and game. Maybe that means you've got to show up to early BP and you've got to iron some things out off of the tee. But when it's game time, I always tell the kids, that's your backyard time. Entertain the crowd. That's it. That's your one job in the game, is to make those fans in the stands go, wow, that was awesome, right? That's what you're trying to do, and make some of your teammates laugh. That's actually a really good point. I love that because one of my biggest things in high school and college, I always said I played to make my parents proud, and they showed up to every single one of my games, so it was really easy. Like, I always had them in the stands. I knew that on a good day, like, I was going to get that call from them after the game, like, hey, man, that was awesome. What you did was awesome. And even, like, my teammates' dads, they were at the game, and they were like, one of my favorite things was one of my roommates, his dad came up to me, I think it was during my senior year or maybe after my senior year, he said, Rob, you're my favorite player, even more than my son. And I just that to me, like, playing to make those people impress those people and entertain them, that's one of the best things. Another, the Ivy League coaches, I always loved trying to impress those other coaches because none of them wanted me. None of them wanted me, and I always loved showing up saying, you know what, I'm going to try and make this guy regret it. And that's kind of what pushed me through. And not that it's different in pro ball. You show up and there's 5,000 people you don't know in the stands. I definitely will say I play a little bit better when I have people in the stands to play for, but you got to put on a show. I love that. That's a great way to put on a show for the people in the stands. Oh yeah, and it gets your mind into a more easy place. This has been awesome, man. I appreciate you taking some time and peeling back the curtain for some of these kids. Something I've asked all my guests, kind of talks about the character of a ball player. And I talked to our mutual friend, your old college coach, Grant Achilles. Who are you looking for when you're recruiting baseball players? Is it all about talent? Is it skill? Is it character? And I know so many great college coaches, they're looking for the character. They're looking for the person. And they feel like if they've got somebody they can teach that's determined, that is respectful, then they'll go a long way. Who's your favorite teammate? If you had to go back, like what makes a great teammate? Who was yours?
Yeah, wow, that's a powerful question. I was very fortunate, as you were. I mean, Brown just has one of the strongest cultures, amongst the guys on the team. The network we have after graduating is due to the fact that everyone forms a special bond with the team while they're there. I definitely had a great class that I came up with. I would say, can I get more than one answer here?
Please. Yeah, I know that's a tough question, having to put it on the spot. Yeah. But yeah.
So, one of the teammates I definitely appreciate and respect the most is Christian Togner. Christian was the ace at Brown all 4 years, even his freshman year. He's one of the best pitchers in the Ivy League. He played with me with the Brewers, so we were teammates for 7 years in a row. So it'd be an injustice for me not to say him. He's definitely my longest teammate. He just always did things the right way. Me and him we shared the captain role our senior year, and we had the greatest balance. He was never. He always did things the right way. Guys looked up to him, and I looked up to him as well as his co-captain. So that says a lot about him as a player and a teammate.
Let's just put a pin right there. He always did things the right way. Just so we can explain it, because I got some kiddos here that maybe could use a little more clarification. What do you mean he always did things the right way? You get specific there.
Yeah, I would say, some of the things that I remember him doing, he never did anything that stuck out. Great things stick out, and that stuck out as a pitcher, but off the field, he never did anything that was wrong, and I hate to say that, that's not really a great example, but he just I don't know. That's a tough question to answer.
It seems like he was pretty dependent. Seems like he was pretty reliable. He was dependable and reliable.
We used to call him the doctor, and he would just carve guys up. But at the same time, guys also called him dad because he was just someone you could rely on or off the field. He was just always there, quality guy. But yeah, in terms of doing things the right way, it's easier when it's easy. I guess it's harder to say a pitcher does things the right way because they only play once a week, so it's really tough to analyze. It's easier to say Rob Henry, he does things the right way. He runs hard down the line, he dives for every ball in the outfield. Whereas a pitcher, it's tougher to analyze and to put in words. But he just showed up every day with the intent to be his best, and I think that's really all I guess I could contribute to that. But he was awesome.
That's good. You said you had another one. Who else? Who else do you think of?
So I think a good teammate in terms of someone I looked up to, but a good teammate in terms of my second would be, and it would be like a 1A, 1B type of thing, was someone that just pushed me to be better, pushed me to be my best self. And I would say that teammate is Mark Shkudievic. He was also in our class. He's a goofy guy. We're good friends. Just great guy to talk to. He'll be in charge of the Brown Alumni Network someday. But he just, he always kept me pushing for more. He always admired me as a player. He always admired my work ethic, and he let me know about it. And that pushed me. And he was great. He had a great breakout senior year, and I have a ton of respect for him for that. He really powered through. He went through the whole he felt a lot of pressure with the Ivy League degree and wanted to do the internships, and he wanted to really focus on academics. And his senior year, I remember like we had a lot of conversations that he just really wanted to do the baseball thing one more time. And he went all in. He went all in on that season. He already had a job lined up, and he crushed it. First team All Ivy League, first baseman. Was our three-hole hitter. He was tremendous in that. He was one of my favorite teammates, and to this day, he's one of my favorite friends.
That's great. I mean, I always tell the kids, be yourself. All right, everybody's got a different personality. I was a goofball, but I was also I like to push my guys at the same time. You know, and when I was captain, I was the loudest one in the weight room. I was the loudest one on the field. But, you know, I also like to sit down with the guy that needed to just have a little chat because they're 0 for 13 and, you know, just have a nice talk with them and make them feel happy. Like, I think the best teams is when everybody's bringing their own personalities, the funny guy, the strict guy, the guy that pushes, the loud guy, the quiet guy, the great hitter, the great defender. When you bring all that together, but everybody's going for the same purpose, which is everybody else. Everybody's looking for each other's back. There's no me's. It's all this we beautiful concoction, just trying to go for the same goal, which is to win as a team. So
I could not agree more. I definitely think what you just said really describes the class that I graduated with. You know, we were just a really diverse group of personalities, and we all contributed something. By the end of the season, we started with 2 captains. By the end of the season, we had 5. And it was something, we all grew together. We all got to a point where we were no longer trying to prove ourselves to each other. We all knew our role, and we could just get straight to work. You know, there was no tug of war. Unfortunately, we still didn't have a ton of success in the win-loss column, but we had a ton of guys in my senior class that just went out there and balled out their senior year. We had, you know, I joke about this a lot. We had more guys that got all conference than we had wins in the conference.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we had tremendous individual success, but it never really clicked in terms of wins and losses. Columbia still owned me.
I'm right there with you, man. We always got dinged by Harvard or Dartmouth.
Yeah. One team every year always just ruined your season. But,
exactly. Well, any kids out there have any questions before we close up shop? Throw your questions to a pro baseball player. Rob Henry, he's played with the best. He's shared the bench with Christian Yelich. And
yes, shoot your questions. I know I got some young family members, Brady and Colin. I just want to give them a shout out. Ask any questions if you guys have them. But hey, no. This is great. I'm really glad to get to share some experiences with a fellow Brown player. I definitely was curious about hearing more about your tenure at Brown and kind of some of the ins and outs of the team, like how you guys bonded off the field. I know that's a big thing of like, my senior year, we all lived together. We had 2 houses on Cushing Street right next to CVS. I don't know, right near Mike's Calzone and CVS.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. And, I think it really contributed to us as people and us as a baseball team.
Oh, no.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience.
Absolutely. Well, JK25, I always wore my pants up, and that was a big part of my that was a big part of my life there. But yeah, I mean, here's the coolest part, and I see one of our Brown friends that just logged in now.
That's Shreddy. That's who I was just talking about, Mark Shreddy.
You got Shreddy. So pin that question. We're going to answer that question. But a gal that saved my life at Brown University just checked in, Diana. We're still great friends to this day. Right? I mean, we were going to go celebrate our 15-year reunion, but all those baseball players are on the same thread, Brown baseball text thread, Brown friends, and so there was a lot of baseball games played, but way more importantly was the friendships that we made. You know, best man in my wedding, all of that good stuff. And you got a lot of that to look forward to. But that's what I remember. Not how many games we won, not how many home runs I had. It's the best friend that we had, and all the gals. That's right. Yeah, we had track and field, volleyball. That was the beautiful thing about Brown. It's just all the close knit friendships that you build. But
my girlfriend played on the volleyball team, so we're in the same boat. You know, like a lot of good friends all across campus, volleyball, football team. You know, just it's such a great environment.
It's great. I'll start and then you can answer. As far as how do you define a quality at bat? Well, I was also a pitcher, so I kind of can see it from both angles. The hitters that just I did not look forward to facing were the ones that made me sweat. Were the ones where I really had to work hard, and I couldn't just go, oh, outside corner fastball right here. Then I can maybe go inside fastball or go outside with a change. They just seemed to always foul off my best pitch, and they would always barrel up my worst pitch. And so when I'm throwing my best and I'm throwing my worst, there's really no room for error. And a lot of that is just those hitters that their barrel stayed in the hitting zone for the longest time. Like when I see a bat that it just never leaves the hitting zone, it's like, how do I miss that thing? And at the very least, they would foul off those great pitches. So a guy like Rhys Hoskins in the pros, I think he led baseball with like 4.5 pitches per at bat. Like that's how many pitches he saw. So we're not saying take the first pitch. Like Christian Yelich, he was going up there swinging first pitch. But just a quality at bat is you're making that pitcher sweat and you're making that pitcher go, man, I do not want to face this guy. He fouls off all my best ones. And he never really chases the bad pitches. So just really those hitters that weren't afraid to wait. They'd wait on the curveball until it became a dirt ball. They'd wait on the changeup, and they seemed like they had good timing. That really made me sweat as a pitcher. What about you?
Oh, yeah. No, simply put, swinging at strikes and taking the balls.
Yeah.
As simple as that sounds, it's crazy. We get evaluated on that all the way up to pro ball. And I'm very prideful that I'm one of the top in the organization in terms of we call it it's part of that same score that I was talking about earlier, how we were evaluated. If you're not chasing at bad pitches, I have one of the lowest chase rates in our organization. That's something I'm prideful of. I strike out a lot, but it's because I'm swinging and missing at strikes. You know, at least give yourself a chance. If you're swinging at stuff in the dirt, you're not giving yourself a chance. So yeah, I would definitely say seeing pitches. I know at one point, my first full season of pro ball, I was seeing 6.8 pitches at a bat. So don't see too many pitches because I had 8 walks before I registered my first hit. The last player to do that was Barry Bonds. So I can tell you right now that I'm not Barry Bonds, but I was getting up there. I was just a little bit too passive. So you don't want to be too passive. You want to find somewhere in the middle. But definitely seeing pitches, making the pitcher work. But also, so I think what Shreddy was applying there is the how kind of like the mental side of how do you deal with that line out right at the center fielder, or how do you deal with that hard hit ground ball right at the shortstop that turns into a double play. And sometimes you kind of just gotta put a check mark like, hey, that was a quality at bat. That's something we talked a lot about at Brown. My senior year, we had a great guy named Steve Springer. I don't know if you've met him, but he does the mental side of baseball, quality at bats. And that's something we really bought into my senior year was if you lined out right at the left fielder, like you came back in the dugout and everyone was like, that was pretty much a hit. So that keeping that mentality and not getting discouraged, not becoming obsessed with your batting average, really just focusing on just controlling the things you can control. So if you put the barrel on the ball and it goes and it's an out, hey, tough luck. I mean, that's a quality at bat.
Control the controllables. It's a cliche, but I'm starting to figure out that the best players in the game, they take those cliches and they run 1,000 miles per hour with those cliches. So that's really the makings of a great baseball player. This has been super fun, man. I can talk baseball with you all day. I'm going to have Coach Grant Achilles on next Tuesday, so we'll be talking baseball at the Sandlot. And I've got my main man Owen Reed coming on Monday, and a lot more next week lined up as well, along with 4 trivia. So maybe you can hop into one of these trivia sessions that I do, and maybe win you some prizes.
Yeah, no, I'm not great. If it happened probably before the year 2000, I'm not great with it. but I'm pretty good besides that. So maybe we can do a 2009 trivia night. For sure.
I like it. We'll leave with this, and some of the kids here might answer this. See if you can answer it before they do. Who's the first Major League Baseball player born in the 21st century to play a Major League game? And that's hard to believe, but there is somebody out there who's born in the 21st century who played a Major League game last year. Can you hear it?
Is it Juan Soto?
It's not Soto. He was born in 98. We had another Juan Soto here. Juan Soto born in 98.
Oh, man.
So close, but not quite.
All right.
Global Freeze is probably going to get this. Jake N25 beat you to the punch. Elvis Luciano of the Toronto Blue Jays was 19 years old when he pitched last year.
Wow. A pitcher. Wow, that's impressive. Hey, I got a trivia question for you.
Brilliant.
So before Dansby Swanson went #1 pick overall, who was the last college shortstop to go #1 overall in the MLB draft?
Oh, man. Did he play for Clemson? He did not. So I'm not thinking of that guy.
You're gonna be upset when you don't get this one.
Oh, my goodness. So prior to Dansby Swanson, Jake N25, are you going to beat me to the punch on this one?
I don't know if you'll get it. This one goes way back.
We're going deep.
This one's a mutual one. You want the answer, or are you looking it up?
No, I'm thinking of the draft. Somebody said Alfonso Soriano.
College shortstop. He wasn't.
I'm not sure Soriano. Man, how about not high. We're going way back when. How about Ryan Sandberg?
No.
Nope, he wasn't he wasn't a college shortstop. Billy Allman?
Yeah, Billy Allman.
Oh, Coach
Billy Allman,
Grant.
Brown University baseball graduate.
How about that? Wow, go Bruno.
Yeah, go Bruno.
Coach Grant, Achilles, he's been so quiet up until this point, and then he throws in the correct answer.
Yeah.
Epic, man. Well, hey, I'm gonna do a FaceTime lesson now with a kid who's just gonna, he's gonna throw some balls up against the wall, and we're gonna get better at baseball that way. But thanks so much for tuning in, kids. Keep tuning in. We'll take the weekend off, and then we'll be back at it Monday. But Rob Henry, man, keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Appreciate it, Coach. Take care, man.
Attaboy! All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We will see you Monday. All right? It was Billy Allman. Yeah, I was thinking maybe 7. But it was Billy Allman, Brown University grad. See you, folks.